Hello, everyone, and welcome into another edition of WST Sunday Live. My name is Connor Hrabchak. Today, we got the full crew. Lyss, Houde is here. Jacob Stoller is here. And thanks for joining us at this later start time. I'm sure a lot of you coming over from Illegal Curve. They started today at 9 a.m. So here we are at 11, continuing this Super Sunday of Winnipeg Jets talk on a game day. They play the Minnesota Wild today at 5 p.m. inside Canada Life Center. But we're going to talk about the 2-0 start. We're going to preview the game today. We're going to talk about our favorite goal songs because those were released and a lot more. So thank you for joining us. But before we get into everything, Jacob, you missed the last couple. How are you doing today?
Doing great. Thanks for letting me come back on. I know there was a bit of controversy, but happy to be here.
Yeah, there were some talks behind closed doors, but we let you come back. We let you
1 year, 2-way deal. Pumped to be back.
Absolutely.
You guys in line.
Yeah.
We're atrocious.
Yeah, well, atrocious. Well, okay. Lyss, how are you doing today?
I'm doing super well. I'm super fired up to be back. Super fired up to have a microphone now and not my 2014 Apple headphones. So super dialed. You guys get to hear my atrocious takes in even better quality now. So I'm excited.
Exactly. That's what everyone's here for. And yeah, get her done. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Thanks for joining us on the Sunday, 11 a.m. Football starting at 12. I'm sure people got Thanksgiving lunches and dinners to get to. So we really appreciate it. But let's get into the Winnipeg Jets discussion. They're 2-0 on the season. They beat the Edmonton Oilers 6-0. I think we're going to talk about that game a little bit less than the one that most recently happened on Friday night against the Chicago Blackhawks. But Jacob, I'll start with you. First 57 and a half minutes of this game were absolutely terrible. And then the only way it could have ended somewhat interesting was if Mark Scheifele scored his 299th and 300th goals, and that's exactly what happened. So what were your initial thoughts of that boring but then exciting home opener?
Panic. I was sitting beside you in the press box, and I honestly had a Google Doc of my story I was going to do, and I just had WTF. I had no idea what I was going to talk about, just because. Oh God, Stone Cold Stoller. That's an interesting nickname. I'll take it. I'll wear it. I thought that the game, and we'll get into a lot of these parts, but I thought that for the Jets, first of all, I want to give the Blackhawks a bit of credit. Connor, we were debating about this on the ride home. You thought it was insanity. Sorry to throw you under the bus, but you thought it was insanity that they called the Hawks a good structured team. And I'm gonna kind of light you up like a Christmas tree here and say that I thought they were tremendous. I think they kept the Jets to the outside. It was almost and this is kind of the Jets' own fault, but the puck, if only NHL Edge had a timer on how much time that puck was in the slot, which is usually indicative of good play. It was there was a magnet on it. No one was touching it. There were so many instances, but I will say to the Hawks' credit, they kept the Jets out of the inside in a lot of ways and mitigated some chances. So I'll respect that, but it was just a sleepy effort from the Jets, I think, out of sync in a lot of regards. I think we're going to have a lot of nights like this, as most teams do, where you have that one line, like the Lowry line and Morrissey DeMello, where it's no matter what, they're always driving. Same case here. First 40 minutes was really, really dry. I don't want to take too many and we'll get into the main topics, but if you're asking for my thoughts on it, I was just oh my God. I don't want to go scorched earth right now on this column. It's I've only written 8 pieces so far, so don't want to do that. But yeah, it was a lot of panic.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And you know what? The structured comment, maybe I feel a little bit different that the Blackhawks went in and stomped the Oilers 5-2 the following night. Which maybe that's just indicative of the Oilers being terrible to start the season because the Jets beat them 6-0 as well. Lyss, I know you were at the game as well Friday night. What were your thoughts of, again, a very sleepy effort until it wasn't?
Well, I know exactly kind of where you're coming from, Jacob, with the sense that The reason I think that the Colorado Avalanche were able to handle the Jets so well in the playoffs last year is because the Colorado Avalanche do such a nice job of managing, playing their own style of hockey and playing to their strengths, but also adjusting, and Jared Bednar managing what the other team is doing. I think they are one of the best teams in the NHL at doing that. And Chicago, the reason they're not, the Colorado Avalanche is because they don't have the talent the Colorado Avalanche do. But I thought this was a really good example of a game where a team managed what they were expecting from the other team, and the other team couldn't, adjust to what they had adjusted to. You know what I mean? Like one team adjusted really, really well, the other not so much. So I think, the fact that it was the Ryan Donatos of the world and Nick Foligno as opposed to Nathan McKinnon and Mikko Rantanen, that, changes things. And I'm not saying that Luke Richardson is as good of a coach as Jared Bednar or anything like that, but I think it was a game of structure that the Winnipeg Jets didn't manage super well.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that. And then again, my opinion has since changed from that drive home with Jacob, where I was shocked to hear that the Blackhawks are a good structured team, but they went in and beat the Oilers on the road, and that is nothing to sleep on. Let's dive into a little bit of the other topics from this game. Let's start at the top with the Mark Scheifele, Kyle Connor, Gabriel Vilardi trio. Maybe not their best effort through the first two periods of this game. We're going to talk a lot about the Perfetti, Nemeskov, Ehlers line later on, because I think that's the biggest storyline with the Jets forward core. The Lowry line was really good in Edmonton, not as good against Chicago. Like they just didn't really generate anything. They didn't give anything up. It was a typical Lowry line game. But that top line, Jacob, the most criticized line coming into the season, anything through two games that has told you one way or the other on that trio. And then obviously they tie the game late in an empty net situation and score in overtime. So that's not really 5-on-5, them playing to their strengths. But what did you see from that top line on Friday night and maybe even Wednesday night, if you want to touch on that as well?
Okay. This year so far, has that line scored a 5-on-5 goal?
No, I don't think so.
Scheifele's goal, one of them was with Ehlers, passed it to him. But I don't know if it was a power play.
No, that was empty net. Oh, in Edmonton? Yeah, that was power play.
And
then empty net 3-on-3. So,
okay.
No. Yeah.
So that's something that's important to keep in mind. I don't want to be like, to ruin the parade or anything here, but I still see some serious concerns with that top line. Mm-hmm. I think that the first two zones of the ice, the ice is tilted in the other team's favor. The defensive zone, there's not enough pace. And Kyle Connor and Mark Scheifele like to slow the game down. Same with Gabe Vilardi. Yeah, time and place for that, absolutely. But, when you got to get going and push the pace and move things, which I think the Lowry line does pretty well. I think every line does better than that line. They really fall short. Mm-hmm. And, the thing that I'm thinking about is if you're looking at how the Chicago Blackhawks played a good game against them, right? A reason the Jets fall into trouble in the postseason and why they won the first game against Vegas and Colorado, right?
Yeah.
Afterwards, NHL coaching staffs, when they do their pre-scouts, if they say, do this against Connor and Scheifele, they're going to slow it down. They're going to go east-west, take away certain lanes. They're always going to do this. Mm-hmm. It's no wonder they come up flat after those games. It's too predictable. It's not efficient enough. And it's too lackadaisical, in my opinion. I get it. It's young. We're early in the season here, but I just think that we're a couple losses away from everyone else going full scorched earth. And I just don't understand it. Like I don't think it's the best call for them. And they may have, Scott Arniel may talk about how they have great puck possession in the offensive zone. That is true, but you got to get there to be able to show it.
Yeah, and I'll throw this to you, Lyss, but the biggest issue with that line, and you've brought this up as well, is their inability to get the puck out and control the puck as they exit the zone. Is they're too casual at their own blue line. And they're turning the puck over too often, which results in those extended minute and a half long defensive zone shifts. And you don't want those three players defending for a minute and a half, right? But what have you seen from that line, Lyss? And is it just simply a matter of they can't get the puck out of their own zone when they have opportunities to do so?
Yeah, I think where I fall with this line is, I think Jacob said everything perfectly about what their struggles are. And you and I spoke about this, I think 2 WST Sunday lives ago. We went in on this line, and it wasn't necessarily trying to be super, super critical or anything like that. It's just people are concerned, and this is why. And, you
Yeah.
know, I wouldn't be sounding the alarm for any line right now after 2 games if I hadn't also seen a whole season of a lot of these lines, right? Like, we've seen a lot of this. Where my kind of opinion is that if this was a line that was only playing, you know, 16 minutes a night or whatever, and the second line was on fire, controlling 80% of the expected goals, if the third line was crushing it the
Right.
way, you know, snuffing out the competition, whatever, I feel like I'd have a little bit more patience. But the best 6 forwards on this team are not doing anything at 5-on-5 at the level that this team wants to compete at. This isn't the Columbus Blue Jackets or Chicago Blackhawks here. Like, this is a team that wants to be competitive, and it's not just one line, it's 2 lines. And I know we're going to get there, but I think that's part of the reason. That's not necessarily their fault. It's not necessarily the second line's fault that I'm comparing them, but you play on a team, you're not just a line. And when your team is struggling at 5-on-5 on offense with guys who are supposed to control 5-on-5 offense play, I understand why the red flags are starting to shoot up a little bit this early on, even though the Jets are 2-0.
They got the ingredients for a line blender. They're just not making a good smoothie right now.
Which
So true. Put it on a shirt.
Come on, that was electric.
that was electric.
He was waiting on that one.
Yeah.
Jacob was up at like 2 a.m. like, oh, what am I gonna say with the line blender? There it is.
Smoothie joke did not land. Okay, yeah, continue.
Yeah, okay. Well, I think this is a good way to kind of segue into that second line, because Lyss, you said if the top line was this ineffective and the second line was cooking, you could kind of live with it. But the second line is doing the absolute opposite of cooking. Lyss, I'll go right back to you on this.
They are rotting.
They are rotting. I'll go right back to you. What is wrong with the second line? What is going on? I asked Gardner Neal about it. He said they had a slow start. Perfetti, I guess, didn't play in camp. That line wasn't put together. So they need more time to get going, he says. But I don't know. I'm just not seeing it from that second line.
Yeah, I think, you know, you spoke about, Jacob, how Connor and Scheifele and Velarde, like they're guys who like to slow the game down a little bit more and, you know, take that, leave it, whatever. So does Cole Perfetti. Nikolai Ehlers does not. And they right now are out there like water and oil, right? Like they are not on the same page. Like the chemistry there is really, really struggling. I think I don't think there's a right or wrong way to play hockey. If you're, you know, this is your skill set, this is why you're an NHL level player, but their styles of play are not conducive to one another. In my opinion, I think they are the problem. I think both of those players are incredibly talented, and I think they should both, without question, be in the Winnipeg Jets top 6. I just don't think they should ever touch the 5-on-5 ice together. I don't think that they are a good pairing at all. And I think we see it game in, game out. We saw it last year a little bit. I think that Cole Perfetti last year, just, you know, he wasn't playing his own best style of hockey. He was struggling a little bit, and he was trying to, you know, make his spot in the lineup and everything. And I think, but that resulted in him being a lot less effective than I know he wanted to be. So I think those two players, Vladimir Mestikov, whatever. I am fine with him. He is there. He is not the 2C on a Stanley Cup winning team. It is what it is, but he's done everything we could have asked from a player that, you know, makes $1.5 million or whatever it is, right? Like he's not the problem to me. I think he can manage to keep up and be what he's going to be with basically any other combination of 2 forwards. I think it's those two though, Ehlers and Perfetti, that are just not working right now.
Yeah. And like,
Jacob, go ahead. Yeah.
Opposites. Thank you, Connor.
Permission granted. Go ahead.
Yeah, got you. Yeah. Got to host the show.
You can unmute your mic. Okay. Thank you. So yeah, like opposites can attract a lot of times. Like the reason people want Ehlers and Scheifele to play together, those guys are opposites, you know, but there's reasons that they can feed off each other. I was optimistic that Perfetti and Ehlers could work. I just think that the biggest problem, honestly, is that the neutral zone, like Ehlers is playing with 2 guys that are not able to play at the pace that he plays at. And like Vladimir Mestikov is a beautiful skater. It's art. Like 4th liners or 3rd liners like him don't skate that way. But he doesn't play with pace. Like he likes to kind of skate around and do crossovers left and right a bit more, where Ehlers is like, going, I'm there.
Yeah.
And Perfetti, he likes to take that extra second to make a better read and do that stuff, where the beauty of Ehlers, or the fault and the beauty, right, is that he's just kind of like chaotic in the best and worst ways. Like he's just going. Like he'll take those reps and drive it to the net. So you got a guy like Perfetti that's more like meticulous, slow, and I'm going to read what's happening here. And Ehlers that's like, let's go, go, go. And then you have Nemesnikov that I don't think, like, he's not a driver on that line. So, and he's a passenger. So now you've got Ehlers and Co again. And now you got Ehlers as the third line again. And now Perfetti's in the third line again, because this is the third line, guys. And I think Connor was totally right. When you posted the order of the tweets and people were being like, why aren't you posting the Jets second line? Like, you're right. Like, Lowry's line's a second line right now. And that also brings a bigger conversation of Scott Arniel into the year said, Cole Perfetti, who seems like top six forward. Nick Ehlers is an important part of this team. Okay. Well, both those things, they're not being put in a position to succeed right now. And, you know, if you want to keep the Lowry line the same, fine. The Scheifele line, though, why can't those three guys just play together on the power play? Why do they need to play together on 5-on-5? I do not understand it. At least try it. And the problem here, I wonder, is because they're winning some of these games, they're going to use that as a means to overshadow some of those lines' clear deficiencies.
I feel like
want to disagree on that a little bit, because they kept them together when they were losing games. They kept them together. Like, they have lost a lot of games with that line together and didn't change anything. And they've like, I don't know if it's because they're winning. I don't think the Jets really think that they're the best 2-0 team in the NHL right now. Like, I think Murat called them a paper tiger, and I like agree with that. I feel like, I don't know if they have like a false confidence because of the wins or not. I don't know.
No, Lyss, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying because they're winning, they're not going to go shake their lines up, even go the first line. That's more so what I meant.
Right, because it's like after that, you know, Edmonton game, you beat the defending Western Conference champions 6-0 at home in their home opener. Why would you change anything? I totally agree with that. No, I
don't think you should. Like, I think you also have like leeway there to figure it out. But what's interesting is that when I interviewed after the game, we talked to Ehlers about like their line and like how they weren't doing well and stuff. He wasn't the most pleased with my assessment of it, but he did agree that they didn't play great. I almost wonder too, it's like two things. One, they've been in for 2 games. That's it. But also, like, Arniel mentioned that trio is being together. So like, maybe there's just an understanding that there's gonna be growing pains here. But I don't see it. It ain't it for me, man.
And I kind of want to dive into the Nemestikov part of this too, because Jacob, you and I were watching the game sitting right next to one another, and while Ehlers is a dominant transition player, and like you said, Cole Perfetti wants to sit back and analyze and maybe take things a little bit slower when entering the blue line, Nemestikov just fumbled pucks at the blue line, and
many,
like a lot, to the point where it was like, this is becoming a problem. And again, like I don't think hold on, Greg, this is a very hot take. We will get into our goal song rankings later on, so stick with us. But
Connor's world has been shook.
Yeah, whoa. But anyways, Nemestikov, I think, does need to play a little bit better. Like, I know he's just a fill-in 2C, and I agree with you, Lyss. The Jets can't win the Stanley Cup with Nemestikov as their 2C. I would argue they can't even win a playoff round with Nemestikov. I guess he's really the 3C. But that secondary scoring line, I just don't think really is that line. And yes, like Jacob said, they have the ingredients for a line blender, but they're not making a smoothie or whatever the comment was. But I do think that Nemestikov needs to play better, plain and simple, through the neutral zone on that line, because Ehlers is fine in transition. Like you said, he's going. He's one of the best transition players in the NHL. Perfetti maybe needs to be there a little bit more. We did the deep dive on him, Lyss. Like, does he play off the rush as well? Maybe, but he has the foot speed issues that Jets fans love to bring up. Nemestikov doesn't have the foot speed issues. Like Jacob said, he's a good skater, but he just fumbles pucks in a really bad spot. And it's less the Connor Scheifele-Vilardi type of turnover, where they're trying to make a really fancy play at the blue line and it just goes wrong. It's just he's skating and he just loses the puck and someone steps up and it's gone. He's not even trying to make a play. It's just doesn't happen. Just doesn't work.
Can I ask a question to the masses here? What about, we saw in the last game, we saw how Arniel switched the lines a bit. So we put Ehlers with Appleton and Lowry. He put Nino with Perfetti and Nemestikov. And he did for like a couple shifts. And his objective was to put Nino net front with Vlad and Perfetti, right?
Yep.
When we asked him about the Ehlers one, he said Appleton and Lowry create a lot of space for guys. And, Nick needs that space to operate and be at his best. I'm paraphrasing. I'm sorry.
Yes.
He said about creating space. I'm then adding that next part.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if this is a real possible discussion here, but as good as the Lowry line's been, like, what about breaking up that line and let's just call it what it is. Like Adam Lowry is his team's second line center.
Yes.
And so can you work with that and put him with an Ehlers and then someone else? Like and I've been of the belief that I love that third line. I love the Lowry, Appleton, line. I love it. But here's the reason or the way I want us to touch on this is, given how important Perfetti is to the team, given how much they need to get out of Ehlers, do they look at making a more balanced, so to speak, middle six? Or rather, just rip the banding off, put Lowry in as a 2C with two skilled guys there, or two top six players, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Yeah. And like some people in the past have like asked for Kyle Connor, and look at Tico Napoli on it. Kyle Connor and Adam Lowry playing together because of that space factor. And the other part of that, we talked about this on, I think, the first WST Sunday Live, but Kyle Connor and Cole Perfetti seem like a match made in heaven. And
dream pairing.
They just
like Kyle Connor's amazing at finding space, and he's maybe one of the best players in the NHL at like not only finding that space, but doing great things with that space, like scoring crazy goals on tight angles and having hands to go backhand when no one thinks you can. And Cole Perfetti is one of the best players at managing that space with his eyes, passing into those spaces. So
can you answer the darn question? Should they do it or not?
So,
Lyss, take over. That was terrible.
My opinion.
I asked a question looking for an answer.
Gosh. My answer is yes, because here's how I look at it. I said it before and I'll say it a million times over. Hockey is a team game. It's not a line game, whatever. I don't care. Even if the Lowry line was controlling 100% of the expected goals, if your other lines are only controlling like freaking 40% out there, like what does that add up to? Okay, that you're looking at like a 180 sort of thing in total. I would rather have 3 lines controlling 70% of the expected goals, right? Like I don't understand why like you're so set. Not you, sorry, like just why fans or the coaches or whatever be like, oh, but that line is good. They've had success together in the past. Totally. That's great. And if things aren't working in a game, whatever, that you can trust them to go out for a shift or whatever together and, manage the offense, or play some defense and, turn it into some possession and try and, get that all sorted, whatever. They need to win hockey games, and you can't win hockey games with only one line that's good. That's it. Yep. I think they need to split this up, and they have the talent. Nino Niederreiter can play the top 6 in this team. Yeah. Alex Iafallo can jump up and play a shift or two in the top. Like this team has a lot of players that are middle 6 forwards, and they have a lot of guys who are in the upper echelon of middle 6 forwards. So I think they should be running harder lines against the opposition. That's not a luxury that a lot of teams have. Running out Cole Perfetti on your third line with other guys who know how to shoot, like that's pretty dangerous in my opinion. I am all for 100%. My answer is yes.
If I could just say one more thing too, it's like you make a great point. Like I follow another guy, Morgan Barron too. It's like
exactly.
Like Carolina, for example, for years did so well. Even they now do it where they'll chip and chase. Okay, their entries are dependent on dumping and chasing because they know if they dump it, they have a higher chance of retrieving it or believe in their ability to keep ozone pressure than if they just carry it in. Getting a Morgan Barron with 2 skilled guys, and I follow Apple, whatever, right? You're getting more guys that are going in with some jam. And if you need to enter the zone by dumping it in, just do it. Because what Scheifele's line is doing isn't working. What Nemestnikov's line is doing is not working. And here's a little secret. That's not so much of a secret. You want to know why the Lowry line is so good? It starts with and ends with Adam Lowry. No disrespect to Nino Niederreiter. No disrespect to Mason Appleton. 2 very solid third-line players. Nino could be in the top 6. Adam Lowry can drive any line he's with. Adam Lowry is one of the best shutdown centers in this entire league. And if he was put in a role to be a bit or pee with offensive players, he would score more. This guy has been the Jets' most consistent playoff performer. When the game's on the line, he's there. He's taking his role, and he does it excellent. You want to promote? I would even say, like, before you go out and spend another first-round pick on a 1C that'll walk or 2C that'll walk, like it happens every year, try Adam Lowry with some of your skilled guys. And I understand moving from the shutdown role, but I just think that there's ways in which you can still line match. And I want to be very clear here. I don't want to take away from the fact that him as a shutdown center is very important. I just think you got to try some things and see what you can do.
Yeah, I don't really get it though, because like they obviously trust him, and I think they want him to play against the Connor McDavids of the world, even though there's the whole best on best. Sometimes they want to put Scheifele against them, whatever sort of thing. Like I don't know why. Like
Well, he's a shutdown center. That's why.
But they think that Adam Lowry is one of the best players in this team, and they are right about that at this point. Like, like I don't understand why. Like, yes, you're focused on that, whatever, but they still want that line to score. They still think that line is great, and like they're like, yeah, they score goals, awesome. It's like, how about they score even more goals, and then your other lines get to score goals too.
Connor, before I hijack it, I got to say one thing to clarify. I will say, even after my really empowering speech there, the one thing that's tough, though, is that if you put Lowry with a Kyle Connor, you put Lowry with some of these guys, when you're matching teams up, like having that line at your disposal, being able to throw them over the boards, you know what you're getting, and shutting down opposition is so valuable. So I do understand why they haven't done this. I just think that even if it's for a couple games to see what you can get with Ehlers and Perfetti or whoever it may be, it's just worth trying. Sorry, Connor.
No, you're good. I agree. And I don't think that you need a shutdown line against every team. When you play against the Edmonton Oilers at home, sure, you should put Lowry with Niederreiter and Appleton. But tonight against the Wild, Kaprizov is a very, very good player. But you're telling me a line with Lowry with like Ehlers and Appleton, like what they went to the other night, couldn't win their minutes against Kirill Kaprizov? Like Adam Lowry is great at creating space, like you mentioned, Jacob, and Nikolai Ehlers with space is one of the best players in the NHL. Kyle Connor, Cole Perfetti, all these skilled players can play on Adam Lowry's ring, and I'd still have faith that they could win their minutes. Maybe it would be more high event, but I still think that they'd win their minutes. So if you want me to answer the question, it's a yes, that I do think Adam Lowry should be playing with more skilled players, and the Jets should be like shifting to that. Maybe not right now, maybe not this afternoon against the Minnesota Wild. We know that they won't, but I don't know.
Question
I'm
because so you're saying like, okay, like Lowry does a good job of like creating some space and getting that puck, whatever. I don't know if Nikolai Ehlers needs someone to help him create space as much as other players on this team do.
I think he does.
Do you?
100%.
Okay.
100%.
As much as other players on the team?
Yes. Because last game with Nikolai Ehlers, for example, I wrote it down on my notes here. I can even give you the timestamps of it.
Lyss is gone.
Okay. Listen.
Sorry, my computer was not charging.
Are you good? You want to have an argument, or you just want to walk away when you hear? Just walks away. No. So I actually do think these guys that can create space. When Nikolai Ehlers last game, he was taking the puck, skating forward, and then go around the net, throw to the slot, turnover. He would skate into the D zone, suicide pass, turnover. I think Ehlers needs other guys that are creating space and opening up holes for him to penetrate different lanes than just Nemesnikov and Perfetti. That like Nemesnikov, there's no deception there. Perfetti, he's not really fast. Like it's Ehlers skating down. The team knows exactly where he's going. And then when he wheels around and he's looking for an outlet, those guys aren't open, right? Like they're just not there. So I don't think Ehlers could be a one-trick pony. If he could, he would be.
Have you seen Perfetti's NHL edge though? He actually is fast. I don't know if you knew that.
You're a nerd, man. Watch the game, man.
No, I that comment is making fun of the people that say that. Cole Perfetti's not a fast player. But anyways,
no, but hey, you want to talk about NHL edge? Rasmus Kupari controlled like 95% of his expected goals at 5-on-5 last game.
Okay. So you guys need to touch grass. Holy crap.
I have never opened NHL edge on my own.
Kupari's been pretty good. I'll give you Kupari's been pretty good.
I want to talk about the fourth line.
Yeah, of course
I want to talk about the fourth line. Let's move into it because Rasmus Kupari scored against Edmonton, and now it's like this big thing that he should be like the second line center, and he's like
that's
better
a thing?
than Mark Scheifele.
You started that.
No. I saw some comments.
Whoa, are there actually people in this chat that think that Rasmus Kupari is the second line center?
I saw some comments. I saw a few.
We need a moderator.
Anyways, he scored one goal. I thought they had a better game Friday night against Chicago than they did Wednesday night against Edmonton as a line. When that line got out there Friday against Chicago, they were controlling the puck. They looked like the Lowry line where they were just controlling it along the wall in the offensive zone, cycling it. They had some great chances. Alex Iafallo made some really nice plays where the Blackhawks are going to break out of their zone. And the Jets are kind of like in the neutral zone already, like kind of trapping back. And he just steals a puck. He gets a stick in a lane, steals it. And the Jets are coming back. And he gives it to Rasmus Kupari with that speed, that NHL edge factor. And he's flying into the zone, right? I think the fourth line has actually been really, really good through 2 games here. And I'm really interested to see how they play today in maybe a more physical matchup against the Wild. But I really liked how they played Friday night. And again, this isn't Morgan Barron got a promotion actually in the Chicago game. Cole Perfetti, as we've seen in years past, kind of took a seat down the stretch, which at this point is very, very warranted given how he's playing. But I do think Morgan Barron deserved a step up in the lineup. Even last year, never mind this year. I think you mentioned, Jacob, earlier that if Morgan Barron played with some more skilled players, maybe he'd put up some more points and maybe be involved a little bit more. I really liked what I've seen from Barron, and especially that fourth line.
He scored 10 goals last year on the fourth line.
On the fourth line, no power play.
Pretty solid.
No, he's one of those guys that like my I have such a like an old head opinion on him. Like there is no quit in that guy. Like he's fast enough.
He's a weapon.
Everyone hold their breath. He's big enough. Like he's very, very good at managing like in tight scenarios, whatever. He gets into like puck battles, board battles really, really quickly. He gets in there and he is not afraid to kind of like, you know, shove around, whatever. And he has enough like finesse and skill to sort of, you know, pop those pucks out okay. And like, you know, he has a little bit of more of a ceiling of a skilled player that, you know, I think complements that style a little bit. And, you know, like you said, Kupari and Iafallo haven't been chumps this year, and I don't think they're chumps at all. Everyone knows my thoughts on Kupari. I'm so over any narrative around him. My opinions on him haven't changed because one shot happened to go in off of Stuart Skinner's skate. I don't care. Good for him if it gets the monkey off his back or whatever. That's 1 second in a sample of thousands of seconds. Like, what am I supposed to do with that?
70 games.
But it doesn't. That was Stuart Skinner's fault, that goal. Like, I'm not saying, and there are other times that I'm sure he's been robbed, whatever. I don't.
Can we also acknowledge, Liz, can we also acknowledge that 99.9% of NHL players should be able to take that beautiful pass from Josh Morrissey and redirect it?
Right. That pass was sick. Like,
that
exactly.
Was a sick pass.
No, so, but I'm not saying that to dunk on Rasmus Kupari. I wasn't like the world's biggest hater or anything like that, but like he's fine. I also, everyone calls him, what is it, Rasmus Cardio? I think Rasmus Capardio is way funnier. So I think we need to change that one a little bit. But
he's beating that nickname because he scored. It only is like funny if he goes like 15 games without scoring because then he's just doing cardio. But
you know, I know, but even still, but yeah, one goal. I don't know. This is gonna be his only goal this year, and then he's gonna play 82 games and have one goal, and everyone's gonna be like, "That's fine," and you're gonna be like, "Oh my god, okay, great."
Next year, 4C. Yeah.
Iafallo and Kupari have been fine to start the season. Like they've been decent, whatever. And I think that's where Morgan Barron thrives is, you know, not playing with the Nick Shores or whatever of the world that we've seen on the fourth line of the Winnipeg Jets in the past. Right. So I think that's one of the luxuries of this team is
they're able to pull less. That was a crazy reference.
Nick Shore.
But I feel like it's one of the best, like it's like Nate Thompson, like just like the fourth line, like you're there for a year, whatever. But it's to a lesser degree the Dylan DeMello effect, right? Where it's like Josh Morrissey became a better version of himself because he was playing with players that were able to enable him to do that. Like I think Morgan Barron is one of those players that does a lot on his own, don't get me wrong, but I think if he had to play with like some legitimate scrubs, but I mean, I guess that's not a super insightful thing to say. Anyone is better when they play with better players, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think now's a good time to shift. I think we covered the entire forward core, maybe every single player. So let's move to the back end. One of the keys that we kind of listed going into this season on our season preview last Sunday was that second pairing on the back end, Samberg and Pionk. And again, all of this is under the umbrella that it's early. We're 2 games in. The sample size is very small. These 2 players through the first 2 games, I know, Jacob, you have some takes on them, and I'll get your thoughts in a second. But while we have everyone here on a Sunday morning, let us know your thoughts in the comments below of that Samberg-Pionk pairing. And while you're down there, hit the like button and the subscribe and that notification bell so you get notified every single time we go live. Usually Sunday every morning at 9 a.m. Of course, this Sunday we're live at 11. Illegal Curve was live at 9. I'm sure all of you were up checking out. I think they had Ken Wiebe on and they had Marty Biron. So it was great. And join us next Sunday. We'll be back at 9 a.m. before the Brian Little game as the Jets take on the Pittsburgh Penguins. So I'm super excited for next Sunday as well. But that Samberg-Pionk pairing, Jacob, I'll start with your thoughts on it because we were talking about it Friday night. What have you seen from that pairing through 2 games? Is there any hope there that maybe they could take a step up from where that second pairing was analytically last year? What have you seen so far?
Well, okay. So I think that to understand like kind of where we're at with that one, you got to look at each player individually. There's chemistry between Samberg and Pionk. There always has been. There's familiarity. The question was always twofold. One, can Neil Pionk bounce back, which I predicted in our WST bold predictions, looking pretty good. And Sandberg was, can you take that next step offensively? When I say offensively, I don't mean, he scored that 6 snipe. But what Scott Arniel was saying the other day when I talked about Sandberg was like, when you're in the top 4, you've got to be able to snap the puck tape to tape to the top 6 guys, and you're playing with skilled guys. You have certain expectations.
Yep.
So far, Pionk and Sandberg, in my books, look pretty solid. Like, I think Dylan Sandberg, we all know he's able to defend well. He's got that long reach, physical, excellent shot blocker, can strip pucks, all that stuff. But to me, what I'm liking is that he's making very good exit passes. He's playing off Pionk well. He doesn't look panicky.
Right.
I think a big thing of Dylan Sandberg, and it's always taken him a bit of time, whether it was college, the American League, the NHL, because his puck skills aren't renowned, right? It's more of a thing that comes gradually. And Matt, guys, Neil Pionk looks solid. I firmly believe Neil Pionk looks great so far. We can have a discussion, and we'll have it throughout the year, about if he's a number 3 on a cup contending team. Is he good enough for that? But for all those that have been hating on Neil Pionk, he looks freaking solid so far. You saw the play where he defended against Draisaitl in Edmonton. Excellent job defending him one-on-one. Kept his feet moving, great positioning. Did Draisaitl get a shot off? Sure, but Pionk negated a very high danger chance. That excellent play at the end of the Chicago game where Mikheyev on the Blackhawks saved the game. Had an open empty net, guys, and Pionk attacked the puck, took him down there. He's been excellent at moving the puck. His defending's always good. May not be clear to the naked eye, but he's solid there. So it's encouraging. And the question now becomes how they're going to fare in a game like Minnesota, frankly, where it's going to be physical. It's going to be competitive. It's going to be one of those types of games. Can they navigate those waters and still make the Jets, win the exit battle, win the transition things, get pucks up quickly, while also deferring off of, monstrous forechecking that the Wild seem to always do. So far, though, so good for me.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And I'm also with you on today's game being really key for them because it's a stylistical change on the teams that they're facing. I think I said this to you the other day in the car as well, Jacob, that I think that pairing's biggest strength can be their ability to defend off the rush. I always thought that was Dylan Sandberg's biggest strength. And you have talked to scouts and you've reminded me many times that Neil Pionk's best skill or one of his best skills is defending one-on-one.
100%.
And you brought up the many examples there. So I think him being able to defend one-on-one very well, Neil Pionk, that is, and Dylan Sandberg, who I think is very, very good backward skater and very good at using his stick to break up plays off the rush. That pairing can be really good in that area, but I'm still hesitant to see against a really good forechecking team what they look like breaking the puck out of their own zone and maybe getting hit a few more times than they're expecting. Before we get Lyss's thoughts, Huss in the chat. Morning peeps, looking forward to the Wild game later today. Also relegate the Jags. I haven't been keeping up with the NFL game in London.
I benched Caleb Williams. I'm really depressed.
Ooh.
I'm not wearing my glasses, so when I first saw that, I just saw the comment. I thought it said relegate the Jets, and I was like, oh, I mean, fun.
The building was full on Friday. I don't know where that comes from.
Hot take,
Huss. Hot take. No, relegate the Jags. But thanks for popping by, Huss. Of course, him and Remo going live every single Monday to Friday at 1. I don't think they have a show tomorrow, though, because it is Thanksgiving Monday. So you can watch this show again tomorrow morning. How about that?
That's what I'll be doing. So
yes, absolutely. Lyss, your thoughts on the Sandberg-Pionk pairing through 2 games, and maybe even touch on the Fleury-Miller pairing as well. We can talk about the entire kind of bottom 4 of that defense core.
Yeah, there's not much to talk about with the top pairing. Josh Morrissey is good at hockey.
Josh Morrissey's incredible.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thoughts on the Sandberg Pionk pairing? I'm actually not going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about Brendan Dillon for a second, okay?
Okay.
Listen, I knew that Brendan Dillon was going to be, that was a loss for the Jets this year. Easily the biggest loss coming into the season, whatever.
Agreed.
I am not as high on him as other Jets fans are, simply because I think for a player like Pionk, Brendan Dillon finishes his check every goddamn time. There were a lot of times where Neil Pionk had to be the sole net front defender when Brendan Dillon was on the ice. And like you said, I think he is phenomenal at managing, off the rush, one-on-one defense, whatever. Managing in front of the net when there are 3 guys trying to jam. No, I don't want to see him there, whatever. And I think we saw a couple scenarios where he was, having to deal with that. Brendan Dillon was really steady in kind of calming the game down in a lot of situations like that. But
Yeah.
Like, I don't know that, like, I think there's like a weird narrative that like the only reason that Pionk wasn't horrible, atrocious, worst player in the league last year is because Brendan Dillon is God. And I feel like we need to like condense that narrative a little bit more, and that Brendan Dillon was good and helped Pionk, and Pionk wasn't amazing. Like, I'm not saying that those are like super, super incorrect sentiments, but I don't think Pionk necessarily needs like the best partner in the world to be a serviceable defenseman. Like, I really don't. Like, I think that he has a lot of great qualities. Someone did mention in the chat that the hip check, best part of the game, not gonna lie, on Friday, that was so much fun. Like, he cracks me up.
Nice.
But I thought in that first game, Edmonton's defense is a little rough to say the least, but like he had some incredible passes in that first game. Like, some of those outlet passes I thought looked really strong, whatever. Like, I want to believe in this player, and I think that, you know, the two of them together, like you said, there has always been a little bit of chemistry. I think they kind of bounce off of each other pretty well. I echo a lot of what Jacob said, but I think that the expectations for Pionk this year are that he's going from having some amazing partner to some chump Dylan Sandberg that has obviously has never proved himself in top 4 NHL minutes, but it's because he hasn't played top 4 NHL minutes. So I think they'll be okay. And like Julian said this in the chat, and I saw that, I'm not, you know, 2 games saying that, okay, this pairing is perfect, whatever. I want to see a little bit more and everything like that. But so far, you know, no big notes or anything like that.
Yeah, for sure. And Jacob, I'll start with your thoughts on that, on the last pairing there, Fleury and Miller. I said to you during one of the games, one of the preseason games, that is, that I was a little concerned about Hayden Fleury on that pairing just because of how he looked in the preseason. I thought, you know, his reads were a little slow. Forecheckers were getting to him before he was able to make plays to get the puck out of the zone. And Colin Miller, while he has a really great shot, okay puck mover, defending on the rush, defending against the forecheck, like it's all just kind of a shrug. Like it's there, it's fine, it's not going to kill him. But what have you seen from that third pair? And is there anything, like I saw, I think it was Kenny's water bottle bring up earlier, where do you put Ville Heinola when he comes back, when he's healthy, right? Is it just like a plug and play thing, or you
plug him in, you plug Ville into where Hayden Fleury is? I just think
like
it's kind of it's a no-brainer. I think, you know, that third pairing, I mean, that third pairing will be a sheltered bottom pairing duo that can move the puck. It's funny, like Fleury's mobile too. The problem is with him and Miller is that I find that Fleury's really not good at handling like a very heavy forecheck. Like when teams come to them in waves, kind of like there's the first guy in and then there's another guy behind, like it takes away his wall option or whatnot. That extra second he hesitates and just kind of is not comfortable there. Colin Miller, I agree with everything Connor said. He's got some great tools, but there's a reason he's now a bottom pairing guy, and that is that I don't think he can handle those heavy minutes against top guys. I don't know. To me, it's just it's a maybe a higher upside bottom pairing than the Jets have had in the past. That's more so Ville and Miller. It's more fun, more sexy than, you know, Cam Schilling and Boteto or whatever they had in 2019-20, which was insane.
Let's keep naming these just obscure Jets. Let's keep going.
We'll do a new game where you have to find a way to drop in an obscure Jet.
That would be so much fun.
Yeah, that would.
I would win. Not gonna lie. That's my party trick.
Lyss would, you'd Kendall McCardle. But anyways,
that's my favorite one.
I just think that the third pairing is, even when Billy's back, will kind of be not an afterthought, but not really used very much.
Yeah, kind of like a Par Lindholm, you know, just like on that bottom forward pair or bottom forward line, just not really in the lineup.
Yeah, you're right.
Just kind of like him. You know?
I was thinking about Nate Thompson.
You know what? At least we have Hayden Fleury and not Bogdan Kiselevich, because that would be a bit of a problem out here.
I think that's Remus's favorite answer, actually.
It's the best one because he never played a game. I don't think he ever suited up once.
Right.
But
he's that sounds like a pro name.
Yeah, soon enough we will be saying Jets legend Capo Kakinen, who got claimed by the
guys, the game, we're not doing the game now. This is insane.
Yeah, no, it needs to be casual. You're right.
Okay.
All right. Let's move on and let's talk about what we're watching for in today's game, and then we're gonna do our top 3 goal songs. I'm super excited for that. But today's game, they're taking on the Minnesota Wild, Central Division matchup. every time these two teams play, something dirty happens. Something happens that people are talking about for weeks after. Lyss, I'll ask you first. Like, are you expecting maybe fireworks? Are you expecting a calm game between these two teams, which has been very rare over the last 3 years? And what are you watching for from a Jets perspective today when the Jets take on the Wild at 5:00 at Canada Life Center?
They haven't posted their line charts yet, so I don't know if Ryan Hartman is playing or not. So that's going to be question number one. Logan Stanley's not playing. Logan Stanley is Wild fans Ryan Hartman, because I think there were two consecutive games where he like hit Kaprizov or something like that, and it turned into a whole thing. I don't know. The Minnesota Wild are a team in the National Hockey League. Listen, like I like a lot of their like younger players and stuff like that. Like, but this team does not, you know, I don't even know what to say about them. Like, I'm not super excited about. Like, I think they have a lot of really interesting players, but I don't think this is an Edmonton Oilers or a Chicago Blackhawks team. Like, this is pretty temperate, and I think they play a pretty similar style to the Jets in the sense of not actual on ice style, but like they are a team. Like they play team. It's not Connor McDavid's going out there and they're like, do run your thing. Like they're trying to run their lines and their pairings as much as they can in the best situations, and they're whatever. So I think this is going to be a little bit of a heavier game, kind of like you mentioned, not so much a showcase of league best talent other than maybe Kaprizov in the circle sort of thing. Like it's going to be a little bit more, I think, like 5 players on 5 players as opposed to defending off the rush sort of thing. Like I think there's going to be a little bit more structure in this game, so I think it'll be interesting. Maybe a little bit, not quite a test of the 5-on-5 systems, but I think it might be a little bit more a test than maybe the Oilers game was, just because that team is so wild in the sense that their offense is so strong, but their defense is so weak. Like I don't know exactly how I'm feeling about this particular game. I think this is an opportunity for the top 2 lines to figure themselves out a little bit, just because Minnesota is not as top heavy as some of the other teams the Jets will have to play in the coming stretch of the schedule. So I think this game, like I'm never not interested in a Jets game, but I am quite interested in how this one's kind of going to go here.
I agree. Jacob, what are you watching for today from a Jets perspective? And are you also expecting kind of a more structured, systems heavier game like Les mentioned?
Yeah, I'm expecting a lot of passion from the Wild. I think that team, that core, there's a really good culture there of like getting revved up for these games. I think Larry will set the tone there. I think there'll probably be a fight or something. Like I think that I think
there always is.
There always is. There always seems to be. I'm interested to see how Ehlers does. Okay. And the reason I hesitated there was I just want to word this properly. I think if you're in the camp thinking that Ehlers is completely like, just needs to create things himself or just kind of shafted, like I want to see how Ehlers does in a game where he's against a tight checking Wild team where he won't have much space. And the spotlight I put on Ehlers is because like, I think you really need to ask the question of, is he with the right line mates? Like this is going to be not as close to a playoff game. I hate that cliche. It's game 3, but like the Wild, their style, as you guys mentioned, through and through is sort of playoff style hockey. And I don't know if it's different now under the new coach, but just their personnel, the way they usually play, it's going to be tight. It's going to be a tight scoring game. That's what I believe. So I'm curious to see how Ehlers does in that second line. I think it'll only add fuel to the conversation.
Yeah, I think the spotlight is definitely on that Ehlers, Nemestikov, Perfetti line. Neil Pionk did say in the scrum yesterday that this is like having a playoff game in October because of how the Minnesota Wild play. So you are bang on there, Jacob, with your assessment of how this game is probably going to go. I'm expecting 3-2 game. And this is the type of game as well. Like you said, Liz, very structured, but it's the type of game where, penalties can happen. This is the Wild and the Jets. We know that the penalty minutes can go crazy and the power play can make a big difference. So I'm watching for the power play today. They went 2 of 3 against Edmonton. A little bit more of a struggle against Chicago, obviously. Did they have one power play against Chicago? I don't remember how many they had, but
they had one, a couple. They had
2 at least.
2?
Definitely one on the Pat Maroon and one on Connor Murphy.
They had
for
2.
Sure.
They had 2. Okay, great. And then they scored with the 6-on-5 in an overtime. So they obviously did not score on those power plays, but I am interested to see the power play in the Edmonton game. This is a rant now, but they went 2 of 3, but I feel like Velarde just never touched the puck. So that's another thing I'm watching for.
And they were horrible in the Chicago game. Sorry. That was 2022, 2023 as power play.
They
couldn't
enter the zone when they got in. It was weak shots from the outside. It just wasn't really wasn't really great, and what you wanted to see from this new look unit. But I want Velarde to touch the puck more on the power play is one thing I'm watching for, and
You really?
yeah, yeah, and I'm certain that they will get some power play opportunities today because of the Jets in the Wild. So it's bound to happen. Let's get to the fun part of the show. They released their goal songs before the game Friday as they introduced everyone out onto the ice. They played their goal song. There are some returning ones. There are some new ones. A lot of players switched. A couple players kept, and I think in all three of our top threes, there's going to be one player especially that kept theirs. But Jacob, I'll start with you. If you have the list ready to go.
I just feel so unfair because I know I'm stealing your guys's, but
no, if we all have the same, I'll change my opinion on the spot. No problem.
Okay, well, number one is Macarena, Gabe Velarde, because it's just sick and like the arena loves it. I think it's like the coolest. I just love it. Like it's amazing. No notes on me, Gabe. Way to go.
Yeah.
Number two, out of the woodwork, Lowry Has Espresso by Sabrina Carpenter. Banger. Like that is Carpenter's last name, right?
Yeah.
Okay, sweet. Great song. Like had me bopping in the press box. Love the way to go, Captain Laus. That's a good call. And then number three, I'm kind of tied between two. Okay. It's My Life by Hayden Fleury is pretty sweet. I feel like there's a goal you scored. It's like Hayden Fleury scored whoa, and then you got It's My Life blasting, probably a good time. But I am very much team bring back Hell Yeah as the goal song. So I love Kyle Connor's goal song being Hell Yeah, because I think that it should always be the Jets goal song. Like I always in my head, this may be like a adolescent thought, but I thought like it could be sick if the Jets incorporated like a Hell Yeah chorus where the fans were doing the yeah part, but I don't think there's enough organization or want for that like amongst fans. But I don't know. I have a soft spot for Hell Yeah, so let's get a three-way or two-way tie for third in Connor and Fleury.
Nice. Okay, Lyss, you're up. And you have to change your opinion on the spot or not.
Damn it. No, okay, yeah, no. So, okay, I'll start by saying my criteria, because when I think about a goal song, like, listen, there are a couple songs on here, like Pour Me a Drink for Josh Morrissey. Like, I love that Post Malone album, love that song sort of thing. So it's like, oh, I really like that one. But to me, a goal song is all about crowd interaction and stuff like that. Again, that's why Macarena, if Jacob hadn't, been the worst and picked it before I did, would be my number one, because like that song is so fun, get people doing stuff, whatever. So in that similar kind of line of thinking, Eric Comrie having Sweet Caroline is hilarious. I know that man will never score a goal, but like that's awesome.
Whoa,
that's a
never
great
say
song.
Never.
Yep, okay, you know what? I will buy you both a McDonald's breakfast if Adam Lowry or if Eric Comrie scores a goal this year. Because like,
wait, when do they play the goalie songs?
They don't.
I don't know what the point is when they score. Like,
imagine the scenes. Eric Comrie on like a meaningless game in February against the San Jose Sharks scores a goalie goal, and everyone goes ba 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 to Sweet Caroline. Like that would be electric.
Yeah, so that's like when it comes to I think my number two is still Neil Pionk Renegade. I love that song so much. I think it's such a fun, like the beat drop of the chorus. I love Sticks, love that song. So that, I guess I'm keeping Macarena as my number one because I think it's just, it has to, but Espresso will come off my top three now because that's fine. I just like that one. I do miss Sandstorm. That was Adam Lowry's first goal song 2 years ago. That was so good. And I gotta give a shout out to my boy Ville Heinola. Final Countdown is a great song. I think that's a fun goal song. I don't know. I think it's cute. I think it's fun. And I feel like Disco Inferno also still gets a shout out. That was Nino's goal song last year as well. He kept that one. Great choice. So I also chose 4, but theoretically only 3 because the Macarena doesn't count. But I like a lot of the goal songs. Lots of AC/DC on there. Shout out to that. I think they're fun. I wish we had more of the, like, Pierre-Luc Dubois still has the best goal song in Winnipeg Jets history. Hey Baby, getting the crowd interact, that sort of stuff. I love that about a goal song. So much fun. So I wish there were a couple more of those. But again, it's a fun kind of like little personality test here. So I like it.
Absolutely. I'm gonna go with, you brought up AC/DC being well represented here. I will just throw out before I do my top 3. Let's Go Crazy, Dylan Sandberg, Prince was one of my favorites last year. Him bringing it back, I love it. Again, it's not really a fan interaction one, but it's just a great song to play after you score a goal. And Dylan Samberg doesn't score much. Maybe he will more this year. We talked about that earlier. But number 3, I'm going to go Mark Scheifele, Shoot to Thrill. This might be a little bit of recency bias because when he tied the game with a minute left and then Shoot to Thrill started blasting while the crowd went nuts on Friday, like that was pretty hype. Like that's a pretty good song to play when you score a big goal to tie it up with a minute left. So I'm going to go with that one. Number 2, I'm going to go Macarena, Gabe Vilardi. It's out of the number 1 spot because my number 1 is Espresso, Adam Lowry, Sabrina Carpenter. I just think not only is it like a banger and like the number 1 song, but Adam Lowry's the player I would least expect to pick Espresso. Like you go from Darude Sandstorm to Espresso by Sabrina Carpenter.
No, last year he had what's the your little boo thing?
Your little boo, yeah, little boo thing. Yeah, it's just like so.
Anyone else feel like Ehlers' songs like the climax of like a Disney movie where it's just like the main character wins?
He's had the same song all 3 years. Hey,
it's like it's like a good song. I just like it's like what I mean. It's like you're losing 4-0. Ehlers scores, and it's like 9 minutes left in the third. That song comes on.
Yeah,
the house is
for sure.
Fire. It's like
I want to give extra shout out to Morgan Barron for It's a Long Way to the Top by AC/DC. I think is a great one. And then Logan Stanley, also the AC/DC You Shook Me All Night Long. He used to have Still Dre as his goal song, and I thought that was hype. This one's also great. I think Logan Stanley's just there for the bit. I think it's awesome. So
yeah, I will say Matt Hyman was DMing me about this. Colin Miller's We Like to Party, also a really good one. And Vlad Nemestikov with Who Let the Dogs Out is just
so
actually
sick.
Okay, that one is
that
really,
might
really
be in the Who Let the Dogs
that might have to crack.
Everyone,
that cracks top 5. I think it might crack
we should have done maybe top 5 because then there's so like honestly they did really well. top 22 rank every single goal song.
The one you hate.
22nd.
I'm pretty sure I did that the first year they did them, and it was so fun. Like I enjoyed it so much.
Oh my god.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
I feel like we do this at the beginning of every year. Like I've never done it with you guys though. What would be your goal song if you were an NHL player? Do you have one that's like kind of in your pocket that it can't be one that anyone has ever had? Because like mine, I would say would be Hey Baby, but like that's lame because someone already did that. Like what would be your goal song?
Dubois did it, yeah.
Oh, I know what I do. This
one?
girl. Like dan 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 dan. You're actually making me hum. This girl, but you guys know it. By 3, you guys know it.
This girl.
It's literally the most like dan 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 dan.
Oh yes, okay, yeah.
Oh yeah.
What is this?
Shake my
Shazam?
hand.
Is this
WST
live
Hold
or
on.
Shazam?
Keep going. I'll Shazam it. Hold on.
Yeah.
Keep going. Yeah. I think your tempo's off. I'm not getting anything.
Yeah, exactly. My voice. That's what I would do.
I don't know what my goal song would be because I'm between the fan interaction side of it where like there's dances to certain songs like the Macarena. This is another non-answer. I can see Jacob already.
No, I'm
pissed,
thinking.
but
No, I'm being pissed. You listen to the same song whenever you pick me up. What's that song? Astroworld or no? What?
Like a Travis Scott song? Yeah, that's like
listen
a
to that
Travis
all the
Scott.
time. That was W.
Yeah, something hype up Travis Scott. Yeah, probably.
Lyss, what would you do?
So actually what my take was the first year they did it, I was like mine would be Gimme 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 by ABBA, but then I want to say like no, there was someone who had it last year. It was like David Gustafson. It was someone super random. It was like I'm trying to remember who it was.
I think it was Gus. I think it was Gus.
Because then he scored the goal in the playoffs, right?
No, because Gus was Emergency by Icona Pop because that was funny as hell.
Yes.
I'm trying to. Anyways, it was one of the like. Maybe it was like Kapari or something. It was someone who was new to the team last year.
Oh, so we didn't hear it.
Who had that. But anyways, mine, I think, one of my favorite songs, literally top 5 favorite song of all time, because I have a list. Kokomo by the Beach Boys. That is like the best song on planet Earth, and I think it would be such a fun goal song.
I like that.
I love it. Yeah, I see people.
Waterfall.
Yeah,
put the thing there. Yes,
there you go. I see people dropping their picks in the chat. Let us know what your goal song would be down in the chat below. And while you're down there, hit the like button if you're enjoying the stream. We really appreciate it.
Burn to the Ground is a great choice too. Yeah, I think any Nickelback song I think could be a pretty sweet.
Yeah. Like
did you see Huss's comment about the Costco guys?
I didn't even put it up. I actually banned him from WST Sunday Live as well.
That's what I said I was going to do.
He's done. Catch Huss Tuesday, but he's no longer in the chat. because of that comment. Anyways, I
Putting
do
his hand
like the hell yeah kind of love for the goal song, and I do think that there would have been a good kind of fan interaction part with that if it was the Jets goal song, but I still prefer the fact that they did these personal goal songs.
Yeah,
And I do think that this year is one of the best, maybe the best in terms of the goal songs. I
Yeah, they're
remember
pretty good this year.
last year was like Macarena was the new one and it was awesome, but outside of that, it was kind of mid last year. I
Kyle
don't know.
Capobianco's last year was bad Leroy Brown, and I thought it was so funny.
Oh
I
my
don't know why. I
goodness.
was like, what a random choice.
We've got Cole Perfetti in the chat because Jump Around is his goal song. And it is a very good goal song, I will say.
It is a good one too, yeah.
I think my Cole Perfetti was listening.
Not Julian
No.
dragging me. He's like, I don't know about any
You said
Nickelback
over in
song.
the chat.
Lullaby would be the worst goal song on planet Earth. I would cry the whole time.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
scoring a goal. It's 2-2.
Yeah.
Yes, you're going to the
So
playoffs.
just
you're
give me one more
you're
try.
playing Photograph. Yeah, that's gonna get everyone going.
Look at this. Yeah.
All right.
Oh my goodness. This is turning into karaoke.
Yeah.
as we get into 12 o'clock here. Is there any other time to play the game? That's a Blinding Lights by The Weeknd would be another really good one where it's just like a good vibe.
Yeah.
For Ice Baby. Yeah, I don't know,
Not
man.
the same as Macarena.
Not the same as Macarena. Macarena's a classic. I hope Velarde never changes it. Is there anything else?
As many goals as Connor wants him to, because then we'll get to hear it a lot.
Give him the puck on the power play. It'll work. Trust me. But yeah, is there anything else that we want to discuss on the way out here? Any other takes, goal song takes, Jets takes, life takes, sports takes? What do we got?
Life take. So as people can maybe tell, I am back home and no longer in front of the random brick wall. I was saying I was in Quebec City, Eastern time zone for a while. Central time zone, best time zone to watch sports in. And I stand by that 1000%. Football starts at a perfect time on Sundays. Games are from like 6 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. typically, which is way better than 7 to 12:30, which is way better than 5 to 10. Like, I think it's perfect.
I've always
agree.
The Pacific though.
I'm here.
Because like you
where
get,
like
the
start
first
at
game at 4 p.m. Yeah.
or 4.
Like 4.
Yeah.
But Lyss's point about football makes a lot, or like about sorry,
NFL would start at 10 a.m. on the Pacific. Like
that's like not great. It's a perfect time for noon.
Noon is the best time.
I agree, Les. Actually, I gotta say that's good.
I think I think there's like some good balance there, but also for like me personally, like my lifestyle, like I work like during the day, whatever, and I work till like 5:30, 6 o'clock, whatever sort of thing, and it's like then it's like nighttime, whatever. Like if things started at like 4 p.m., I feel like I'd be like wanting to like, I don't know, like I think starting a little bit after like the day has like kind of ended is just like beautiful, perfect for me kind of thing. Like, you know, I get to sit down and just be a vegetable for however long in front of the couch, but starting after my productive hours have closed, you know?
Absolutely. And I do think that the NHL late slate starting at 9 is already pushing it for me. Like there are good games at 9 p.m. that I stay up to watch, or even 9:30. You'll see sometimes
the San Jose games.
The San Jose. Like I watched the Celebrini debut the other night, and it was like the Blues came back and won that game, so it made it interesting and easy to stay up for. But if the Sharks held on and just were winning 4-1, it would have been a struggle to stay awake. So I think anything later is a no-go for me personally, and anything earlier is just like, okay, this revolves around football, obviously, as we hit the 12 o'clock hour here on a Sunday, but the Sunday night game starting at 5 o'clock just feels wrong. Like you're done by 8:30.
Yeah.
I just don't, I'm totally with you. That's essential to the best
like,
time zone.
On a weeknight, like on Mondays and Thursdays for football, it was like the games didn't start till 8:30 p.m. And I was like, this is lame. Like I was like, I don't want this. But also, do you guys like my shirt? Isn't it cute?
Sunday Football Club.
It's
I actually might buy one. Where'd you get that from?
This one, it has like a Miami Dolphins logo on the back. It's very cute.
Ooh.
So
Nice.
They have all the
your
logos.
team, Jacob? Do you have an NFL team?
Vikings.
Skull.
As you can see, hold on. I got like
it's like
even bigger on the back.
Ooh, I might get that.
thing.
I'm about to go to my Sunday football club after this. Actually, watching football. It's gonna have the same for the last. 14 years.
am going to buy my first ever own hockey stick. I always just borrow other people's and my family's and stuff like that because I've never purchased a good hockey stick. But I'm going, when we wrap up here, I'm going to buy my first hockey stick. So
nice. Okay. Well, Jacob, make sure you're ready. for 3:30. I'll be picking you up for the game tonight.
Thank you, sir.
And everyone else in chat, enjoy the game if you're going. Thank you for sticking it out with us here at a later start time on a Sunday, 11 to 12. We really appreciate it. On the way out, hit the like button and the notification bell so you get notified every time we go live every Sunday. Usually it's at 9. Next Sunday, it will be at 9, and that is the day Brian Little is being honored before the game, and the Jets are taking on Rutger McGroarty and the Pittsburgh Penguins. So that
We'll
should
be
be
in
a
section
really
316.
Oh, yes. For the first game. Yes. Thank you, Lyss. For the first game of the WST ticket pack. So that'll be a really fun show. Make sure you join us next Sunday at 9 a.m. And yeah, enjoy the game tonight. And we will see you all Tuesday when Huss and Remo go live at 1 o'clock on the WST YouTube channel. Have a good day, everyone. And enjoy the game tonight. See ya.